The morning sun cast long shadows across the thornwood forest as Jake Morrison pushed his wife's wheelchair along the narrow dirt path. Lisa sat quietly looking at the tall trees around them, while Jake breathed heavily behind her. The wheels of the old chair caught on roots and rocks, making their journey slow and bumpy. Jake had told Lisa this was going to be a special day for them. He said they needed time away from the colony to talk about their future together. Lisa believed him because she wanted to believe that maybe things could get better between them. Ever since the mining accident 6 months ago that took her legs, she could see the change in Jake's eyes. The way he looked at her was different now, cold, distant, like she was a problem he needed to solve. The forest moon of Kepler 442c was not a kind place for humans. The colonists had been here for 3 years trying to build a new life, but the planet fought them every step of the way. Strange creatures lived in the dark woods. The weather changed without warning. The soil was hard to farm and the mining was dangerous work. Many people had died already and more would die before they could make this place truly home. Lisa remembered when they first came here together. Jake had been so excited about starting fresh on a new world. He held her hand during the long space journey and promised they would build something beautiful together. That felt like a lifetime ago now. The accident changed everything. A tunnel collapse in Mine 7 had crushed her legs and damaged her spine. The colony doctors did what they could, but they didn't have the right equipment or medicine to fix her completely. Jake stopped pushing the wheelchair when they reached a small clearing deep in the forest. Tall grass grew in patches between the trees and colorful flowers bloomed near a tiny stream. It would have been beautiful if Lisa hadn't noticed how far they were from the main path, much farther than they usually went on their walks. "This looks like a nice spot," Jake said, but his voice sounded strange. Lisa turned her head to look at him, but he was staring at the ground. "It's very quiet here," Lisa said. "Are you sure we should be this far from the settlement? What if something happens?" Jake didn't answer right away. He walked around to the front of her wheelchair and knelt down beside the stream. He splashed some water on his face and took several deep breaths. Lisa watched him carefully. Something was wrong, but she couldn't figure out what it was. "Jake? What's going on? You've been acting weird all morning." He stood up slowly and turned to face her. For just a moment, Lisa saw something in his eyes that made her stomach feel cold. It was the look of a man who had made a terrible decision and was trying to find the courage to follow through with it. "I'm going back to get our lunch from the hover car," Jake said. "I forgot the basket in the back seat. You just wait here and enjoy the peaceful spot. I'll be right back." Lisa nodded, but something felt wrong about the way he said it. Jake had never forgotten anything important before. He was the kind of man who made lists and checked them twice. But maybe the stress of everything had been getting to him too. Jake walked over and kissed the top of her head. His lips felt cold against her skin. "I love you, Lisa. I want you to remember that no matter what happens." Before Lisa could ask what he meant by that, Jake was already walking away toward the path they had come from. She watched his back disappear between the trees and tried to shake off the bad feeling growing in her chest. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Lisa called Jake's name but heard no answer except the echo of her own voice bouncing off the trees. She tried to move her wheelchair, but the wheels were stuck in the soft ground near the stream. The harder she pushed, the deeper they sank. That's when she heard it. The distant sound of their hover car starting up. The engine noise grew louder for a moment, then began to fade as the vehicle moved away from the forest. Lisa's blood turned to ice water in her veins as she realized what was happening. Jake wasn't coming back. He had brought her here to leave her, to get rid of the burden she had become, the woman who couldn't walk anymore, the wife who needed help with everything, the broken thing that reminded him every day of how hard life had become. Lisa screamed Jake's name until her throat was raw, but she knew it was useless. The sound of the hover car was gone now. She was alone in the thornwood forest with no way to get home, no way to call for help, no way to move her wheelchair from where it was stuck. The afternoon sun was already starting to sink lower in the sky. Lisa knew that when darkness came, the forest would become much more dangerous. She had heard the stories from other colonists about the creatures that hunted at night, things with too many teeth and eyes that glowed in the dark. She tried again to free her wheelchair, but it was no use. The wheels had sunk too deep into the muddy ground by the stream. Lisa looked around the clearing for anything that might help her, but saw only grass and flowers and trees. No tools, no way to signal for rescue. Nothing but the growing shadows as the day slowly died around her. Far above her head, something moved between the branches. Lisa looked up but saw only leaves dancing in the wind. Still, the feeling of being watched made her skin crawl. She pulled her jacket tighter around her shoulders and tried to think of what to do next. In the distance, she could hear something howling. The sound was unlike anything she had ever heard before. It was answered by another howl from a different direction. Then another. The creatures of Thornwood Forest were waking up and getting ready for their nightly hunt. Lisa closed her eyes and tried not to cry. She thought about the life she and Jake had planned together, the children they wanted to have, the house they were going to build once the colony was more established. All of those dreams were gone now, abandoned in the woods just like she was. But even as fear filled her heart, Lisa felt something else growing inside her. Anger. She was angry at Jake for giving up on them, angry at herself for not seeing this coming. But mostly she was angry at the idea of dying here without a fight. She opened her eyes and looked around the clearing again. This time she wasn't looking for rescue. She was looking for ways to survive. Because Lisa Morrison might be stuck in a wheelchair in the middle of a dangerous forest, but she wasn't dead yet. And she wasn't going to make it easy for whatever came hunting for her in the dark. Commander Alex Carter had been watching the human settlement for 3 days from his hidden position in the mountains above Thornwood Forest. His mission was simple: observe and report on the illegal mining operations that Galactic Intelligence believed were happening on this remote moon. The humans weren't supposed to be here at all according to the old treaties, but somehow they had slipped through the bureaucratic cracks. Alex crouched behind a cluster of purple crystal formations that grew naturally on this world. His advanced armor made him nearly invisible to most forms of detection, but he still moved carefully. The last thing he needed was to be discovered by primitive humans who might panic and start an interstellar incident. Through his tactical scope, Alex had been documenting the human mining operations and their settlement patterns. Most of what he saw was legal according to current galactic law, even if the humans didn't know they needed permits. They were struggling colonists trying to survive, not criminal miners strip-searching a protected world. But today something different caught his attention. A human male was pushing a female in some kind of mobility device deep into the forest. Alex adjusted his scope to get a better view. The female appeared to have damaged legs and was unable to walk. The male looked nervous and kept checking his surroundings as if he was afraid of being followed. Alex watched as they stopped in a clearing by a small stream. The male said something to the female, then walked away, claiming he was going to get something from their vehicle. But instead of returning, the male kept walking until he reached a hover car parked on a maintenance road. He got in and drove away, leaving the female completely alone. At first, Alex thought maybe the male would come back. Maybe he really was getting supplies. But minutes turned into an hour and the hover car never returned. Slowly, Alex realized he was watching something terrible happen. The male had abandoned the disabled female in one of the most dangerous parts of Thornwood Forest. Alex faced an impossible choice. His orders were clear: maintain complete stealth and avoid all contact with the humans. The Galactic Federation had strict rules about interfering with developing species. Even saving one life could be considered a violation of the Prime Directive that had guided interstellar relations for thousands of years. But watching an innocent being die when he had the power to help went against everything Alex believed in. He had joined the peacekeeping force to protect life, not to hide behind regulations while people suffered. The sun was setting now, and Alex could hear the first howls of the shadowhounds echoing through the forest. These native predators were the reason most humans stayed close to their settlement after dark. They hunted in packs and could track prey for miles using senses that humans couldn't even imagine. Alex made his decision. Mission protocols could go to hell. He activated his personal cloaking field and moved quickly through the forest toward the clearing where the female was trapped. His armor's sensors showed him the safest path while filtering out dangerous plants and warning him about unstable ground. When Alex reached the edge of the clearing, he deactivated his cloak and stepped into the open. The human female saw him immediately and her eyes went wide with shock and fear. "Please don't hurt me," she said in a trembling voice. "I don't have anything valuable. I'm just stuck here." Alex raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm not here to hurt you. My name is Alex Carter and I saw what happened. I saw the male abandon you here." The female stared at him for a long moment, taking in his strange armor and equipment. "You saw Jake leave me? Where were you hiding? Are you from the colony?" No, Alex said carefully. I'm not from your colony. I'm from somewhere much farther away. But that's not important right now. What matters is getting you somewhere safe before the shadowhounds start hunting. Lisa looked around the darkening forest with new fear in her eyes. Shadowhounds? Those are real? I thought they were just stories the miners told to scare people. They're very real and they'll be here soon, Alex said. He walked over to examine her wheelchair, which was stuck deep in the muddy ground by the stream. What's your name? Lisa Morrison. Well, I guess it's just Lisa now since my husband decided to throw me away like garbage. Her voice was bitter, but Alex could hear the pain underneath the anger. Alex knelt down beside her wheelchair and activated his scanner to examine the wheels. Lisa, I need you to listen to me carefully. I have equipment that can help us, but first I need to know if you're injured beyond your legs. Are you in pain anywhere else? Just my pride, Lisa said, and my faith in human decency. But my back doesn't hurt if that's what you're asking. The doctor said the damage was only to my legs and some of my spine. Alex nodded and began using a small tool from his belt to clear the mud from around her wheelchair wheels. The tool worked much faster than any human implement would have, and soon the chair was free. How did you do that so quickly? Lisa asked, watching the strange device in Alex's hands. Advanced technology, Alex said simply. Lisa, I need to tell you something, and I need you to stay calm. I'm not exactly human. I'm from a species called the Kethvar, and I work for an organization that monitors this part of the galaxy. Lisa stared at him for several seconds. You're an alien. A real honest-to-goodness alien. Yes, and normally I would never reveal myself to humans, but I couldn't let you die here. That would be wrong regardless of any regulations. A howl echoed through the forest much closer than before. Alex's armor sensors detected at least 6 shadowhounds moving in their direction. We need to move now, Alex said. Can you control this mobility device, or do I need to push you? I can move it myself if the ground isn't too rough, Lisa said. But Alex, why are you helping me? If you're supposed to stay hidden, then saving me could get you in trouble. Alex looked at her with respect in his eyes. Because leaving you here to die would make me no better than the male who abandoned you. Some things are more important than following orders. They began moving through the forest with Alex leading the way, using his armor's sensors to find the safest path. Lisa followed behind him, pushing her wheelchair over roots and rocks with determination that impressed him. Where are we going? Lisa asked as they navigated around a patch of thorny plants that glowed softly in the darkness. There's a cave system about 2 miles from here. It's defensible and the shadowhounds won't follow us inside. We can wait there until morning, then figure out what to do next. Another howl sounded behind them, much closer than before. Alex could see the glowing eyes of the pack through his rear sensors. They had picked up the scent trail and were gaining ground quickly. Lisa, I need you to move faster. They're almost on us. I'm trying, but these wheels weren't made for forest terrain, Lisa said, breathing hard from the effort. Alex made another quick decision. He scooped Lisa up from her wheelchair and activated his armor's speed enhancement. Hold on tight. This is going to be rough. He ran through the forest carrying Lisa while his abandoned wheelchair crashed somewhere behind them. The shadowhounds howled in frustration as their prey suddenly moved much faster than they expected. When they reached the cave entrance, Alex gently set Lisa down on a flat rock near the opening. Both of them were breathing hard, but they were alive and safe for now. Thank you, Lisa said, looking up at Alex with gratitude. You saved my life when you didn't have to. I won't forget that. Alex activated a small light source from his equipment and began setting up a defensive perimeter around the cave entrance. Don't thank me yet, Lisa. We still have a long night ahead of us and a lot of problems to solve come morning. The cave was deeper than Lisa had expected. Alex's light source revealed smooth walls that stretched back into darkness beyond what they could see. Strange formations hung from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls, and the air smelled of minerals and something else she couldn't identify. This place feels ancient, Lisa said as Alex helped her sit more comfortably on a ledge of rock near the entrance. How did you know about it? I've been studying this moon for several days, Alex replied while setting up some kind of device near the cave opening. My mission was to map the area and document what your people were doing here. Lisa watched him work with equipment that seemed almost magical compared to the basic tools the colonists used. So you've been spying on us? Observing, Alex corrected. There's a difference. My people need to understand human expansion patterns before we make any official contact. Official contact? Lisa felt her world shift slightly. You mean there are more of you? And you're planning to meet with humans eventually? Alex paused in his work and looked at her. The Galactic Federation has been debating human contact for decades. Some species think you're ready. Others believe you're too aggressive and unpredictable. Today's events might influence that decision. A shadowhound howled outside the cave, but the sound was muffled by Alex's defensive device. Lisa could see a faint blue energy field shimmering across the cave entrance. Will that keep them out? She asked. For now. But we should stay quiet anyway. The field blocks their entry, but not their hearing. Lisa nodded and lowered her voice. Alex, can I ask you something personal? What do you think about humans after watching us? Alex sat down on another rock ledge across from her. With his helmet off, Lisa could see that while he looked mostly human, there were subtle differences. His eyes were larger and a deep blue color that seemed to hold flecks of silver. His skin had a slight metallic sheen and his ears were more pointed than a human's. Honestly, I've been fascinated by your species, Alex said. You face impossible odds and keep fighting. Your technology is primitive, but you've managed to cross interstellar space and establish colonies on hostile worlds. Most species can't do that without outside help. But Lisa could hear there was more he wasn't saying. But I've also seen cruelty like what happened to you today. In my culture, abandoning a mate would be considered one of the worst possible crimes. It would result in exile from society permanently. Lisa was quiet for a moment, thinking about Jake and how their relationship had deteriorated after her accident. Not all humans are like Jake. Most of the people in our colony would be horrified if they knew what he did. I believe that, Alex said. But the Federation judges species based on their worst examples as much as their best ones. One act of cruelty can undo years of positive observation. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, listening to the shadowhounds prowling outside the energy barrier. Lisa found herself studying Alex's equipment and trying to understand how it worked. Everything seemed so advanced compared to what the colonists had. Alex, that scanning device you used on me earlier, what did it tell you about my injuries? Alex hesitated before answering. More than your colony doctors could probably determine with their equipment. Your spinal damage is extensive but not permanent. With the right technology and treatment, you could walk again. Lisa felt her heart stop for a moment. What do you mean, walk again? The doctors said the damage was too severe to repair. Human medicine is still very limited compared to what's available in the greater galaxy. The Federation has treatments that could fully restore your mobility, but accessing that technology would require official first contact between our peoples. And that's not happening anytime soon. It wasn't supposed to happen for another 50 years at minimum, but circumstances have a way of changing plans. Lisa looked around the cave, thinking about everything Alex had told her. What happens to me now? I can't go back to the colony. Jake will have reported me missing or dead by now. And even if I could prove what he did, who would believe me? I've been thinking about that problem, Alex said. My ship has recording equipment that captured everything that happened today. I have clear evidence of what Jake did to you. Your ship? Lisa's eyes widened. You have a spaceship here? Alex smiled slightly. How did you think I got to this moon? But yes, I have a small reconnaissance vessel hidden in the mountains. It has medical facilities that could heal your injuries and communication equipment that could contact the Federation fleet. Why are you telling me all this? Isn't it against your rules to share this information with humans? I've already broken so many regulations tonight that a few more won't matter, Alex said. Besides, you're not just any human anymore, Lisa. You're someone who has seen proof that your species isn't alone in the universe. That makes you special whether the Federation likes it or not. Outside the cave, the shadowhounds had gone quiet. Alex checked his sensors and frowned. What's wrong? Lisa asked. They've stopped trying to get in. That usually means they've found easier prey or something scared them away. Something that scares shadowhounds? What could do that? Before Alex could answer, they heard a new sound echoing through the forest. It was mechanical and getting closer. Lisa recognized it immediately. That's a colony search vehicle. Someone is looking for me. Alex quickly began gathering his equipment. We need to move deeper into the cave. If they find us together, it will create problems neither of us is ready to handle. Wait, Lisa said, grabbing his arm. What if this is my chance to go home? Maybe Jake confessed or someone figured out what he did. Lisa, if you go back now, what evidence do you have? It's your word against his and you've been missing all night in dangerous territory. Who will believe your story about being abandoned? Lisa realized he was right. Without proof, she would just look like a confused woman who got lost and made up a story to blame her husband. Jake was probably playing the worried husband role perfectly back at the colony. Then what do? She asked. We go to my ship. I heal your injuries and we figure out how to present the evidence of Jake's crime in a way that helps your people, instead of hurting them. The sound of the search vehicle was getting much closer. Lisa could hear voices calling her name through the forest. Alex, if we leave together and I come back walking, they'll want to know how that happened. How do we explain that without revealing you exist? Alex was quiet for a moment, thinking through the problem. Maybe it's time to stop hiding. Maybe what happened to you today is exactly the catalyst the Federation needs to finally make contact with humanity. You mean use my situation to justify first contact? I mean show the Federation that humans are worth saving. Your courage tonight and your willingness to forgive show the best of what your species can be. But Jake's cruelty shows why you need guidance and support from the galactic community. Lisa listened to the voices getting closer and made her decision. Okay, Alex, take me to your ship. But I want to see that evidence first. I want to watch exactly what Jake did so I know what I'm dealing with when we face him again. Are you sure? It won't be easy to watch, I'm sure. If I'm going to be humanity's first contact with aliens, I need to understand exactly how we got here. Alex nodded with respect and began helping Lisa move deeper into the cave toward a passage she hadn't noticed before. Behind them, the search voices faded as they moved away from the entrance. There's a back way out of this cave system that leads directly to where my ship is hidden, Alex explained as they traveled through narrow stone corridors lit by his equipment. Alex, thank you for not giving up on me, or on humanity. Thank you for showing me that not all humans are like Jake Morrison. Your species has problems, but you also have incredible potential. The Federation needs to see both sides before making any final decisions about contact. Jake Morrison sat in the colony's main hall with his head in his hands, trying to look like a man destroyed by grief. Around him, the entire settlement had mobilized to search for his missing wife. Search teams were checking every known path through Thornwood Forest while others scanned the mining areas and the rocky coastline, where someone might have fallen. Jake, you need to tell us exactly what happened one more time, said Sheriff Beth Martinez. She was a tough woman who had been elected to keep order in the colony, and she took her job seriously. Something about Jake's story didn't sit right with her, but she couldn't put her finger on what was wrong. We went for a walk like we do every few days, Jake said, keeping his voice shaky. Lisa wanted to see some of the wildflowers that were blooming deeper in the forest. I told her it might be too far for her wheelchair, but she insisted. You know how stubborn she can be? Beth nodded, but she was watching Jake's face carefully. And then what happened? We found a nice clearing by a stream and stopped to rest. Lisa said she wanted to pick some flowers, so I helped her out of her wheelchair. She was sitting by the water when I heard something moving in the bushes. It sounded big, so I went to investigate. How far did you go? Not far. Maybe 50 yards. But when I came back, Lisa was gone. Her wheelchair was there, but she wasn't. I called for her, but got no answer. I searched for hours before coming back to get help. Beth made notes on her data pad while Jake talked. Jake helped me understand something. If Lisa was sitting by the water and something happened to her, wouldn't there be signs of a struggle? Blood or torn clothing or tracks showing where she went. Jake's hands trembled slightly, but he covered it by reaching for his water cup. I don't know. I was panicking. Maybe I missed something important. That's why we need the search teams with proper equipment. What Jake didn't know was that Beth had already sent a preliminary team to the clearing he described. They had found Lisa's wheelchair stuck in the mud, just like Jake said. But they had also found something else. Clear hovercar tracks leading right up to the forest path, then turning around and leaving. The tracks were fresh and matched Jake's vehicle perfectly. Jake, why didn't you mention that you brought the hovercar so close to the forest? Beth asked casually. Jake looked up sharply, then forced his expression back to grief. I didn't think it was important. I always park there when we go walking. It's the closest spot to the trailhead. But if you parked there and Lisa went missing from the clearing, how did her wheelchair end up stuck in the mud? Wouldn't you have carried her back to the chair before going to investigate the noise? Jake's mouth opened and closed without sound for a moment. She must have tried to move it herself while I was gone. Maybe she heard something too and tried to get away. Beth wasn't buying it, but she decided to keep pressing. Jake, I need to ask you about your financial situation. How are things going with the mining work? What does that have to do with Lisa being missing? Just routine questions. We need to understand if there might be any other reason someone would want to hurt Lisa. Money troubles can make people desperate. Jake stood up abruptly. Are you suggesting I had something to do with my wife disappearing? That's insane. I love Lisa. I've been taking care of her ever since the accident. Sit down, Jake. Nobody is accusing you of anything. But I have to ask these questions. It's my job. Jake sat back down, but Beth could see sweat on his forehead despite the cool temperature in the hall. The mining has been slow lately. We're behind on our quotas, and the corporation is talking about cutting wages, but that doesn't have anything to do with Lisa. Beth nodded and made more notes. What Jake didn't know was that she had already checked his financial records. He owed money to several people in the colony and had recently inquired about Lisa's life insurance policy with the colony administrator. The timing of those inquiries just days before Lisa disappeared was very suspicious. Sheriff Martinez, came a voice from the communication station. Search Team 3 is reporting in. Beth walked over to the comm unit, leaving Jake alone with his thoughts. He listened carefully to see if they had found anything that might expose his plan. Sheriff, this is Team Leader Rodriguez. We found something strange about 3 miles northeast of the main search area. There are energy readings that don't match any equipment we use in the colony. What kind of energy readings? Unknown type. The scanners are picking up traces of some kind of barrier that was active recently, and there are tracks leading away from the area, but they don't look human. Beth glanced back at Jake, who was pretending not to listen. Rodriguez, expand your search in that direction, but be careful. Unknown energy sources could be dangerous. Copy that, Sheriff. Also, we found this. Rodriguez's voice became more tense. Pieces of a wheelchair scattered near the energy reading site. Looks like it was abandoned in a hurry. Jake's blood turned cold. They had found where Lisa and her mysterious rescuer had been hiding. But who was the stranger, and how had he gotten Lisa away from the Shadowhounds? Bring back any pieces you can carry, Beth ordered. I want to examine them myself. As Beth returned to questioning Jake, neither of them noticed the shadow moving across the ceiling of the main hall. High above their heads, something had entered through the ventilation system and was listening to every word of their conversation. The creature was unlike anything that lived naturally on Kepler 442c. It was roughly humanoid, but covered in dark scales that shifted color to match its surroundings. Multiple eyes arranged around its head gave it nearly complete vision, and its limbs ended in claws that could cut through metal. This was a shadowhound, but not the primitive beasts that lived in Thornwood Forest. This was an evolved specimen that had been modified by unknown technology. It understood human speech and had been programmed with a specific mission: find the human female and eliminate any witnesses to what had happened in the forest. The creature had tracked Lisa's scent to the cave where it encountered the energy barrier. Unable to penetrate the defense, it had waited and watched. When the search team arrived, it followed them back to the colony to gather information. Now it listened as the humans discussed the missing female and the strange energy readings. The creature's programming identified Sheriff Martinez as a threat that needed to be eliminated. Her investigation was getting too close to the truth. The Shadowhound moved silently through the ventilation system toward the power plant that supplied electricity to the colony. If it could cause a blackout, the resulting chaos would provide perfect cover for completing its mission. Meanwhile, Jake was beginning to panic as Beth's questions became more pointed. She clearly suspected him of something, but he couldn't figure out how much he actually knew. Jake, I'm going to need you to show me exactly where you parked the hover car yesterday, and I want you to walk me through your movements step by step. Why? I already told you everything that happened. Because your story has some holes in it, and I need to fill them in before I can file my report. Jake realized he was running out of time. If Beth kept digging, she would eventually figure out that he had abandoned Lisa on purpose. He needed to find a way to stop her investigation permanently. Sheriff, what if Lisa is already dead? Jake asked, trying to sound heartbroken. What if something in the forest killed her and we're wasting time looking for clues instead of searching for her body? We'll find her, Jake. Dead or alive, we'll find her. And when we do, I'll have answers to all my questions. The lights in the main hall flickered once, then went out completely. Emergency power kicked in a moment later, but the sudden darkness had been enough to mask the movement of something large and predatory dropping from the ceiling. In the confusion that followed, Jake didn't see the shadow that moved across the wall behind Sheriff Martinez. He was too busy thinking about how the power failure might give him a chance to escape before Beth could arrest him. But the Shadowhound had different plans. Its mission parameters were clear: eliminate all threats to the secret. and Sheriff Beth Martinez had just moved to the top of the target list. Alex's ship was nothing like what Lisa had expected. From the outside, it looked like a natural rock formation jutting from the mountainside, but when Alex placed his hand on a smooth section, the entire front wall dissolved, revealing an interior that glowed with soft blue light. Optical camouflage, Alex explained as he helped Lisa inside. The ship generates a hologram that makes it look like part of the mountain. Most species never develop scanners sophisticated enough to see through it. Lisa stared in wonder at the ship's interior. The walls seemed to be made of some kind of crystal that pulsed gently with inner light. Displays showing star charts and technical readouts floated in the air without any visible support. Everything was curved and organic, looking as if the ship had been grown rather than built. "This is incredible," Lisa whispered. "How long have your people had technology like this?" "Several thousand years in this form, but we've been spacefaring for much longer than that." Alex guided her to a chair that molded itself to her body as soon as she sat down. "Before we do anything else, I want you to see the recording of what happened yesterday." "Are you ready?" Lisa took a deep breath and nodded. "Show me." A three-dimensional image appeared in the air in front of them. Lisa watched herself sitting in the clearing by the stream while Jake knelt beside the water. The image was so clear she could see the expression on Jake's face as he made his terrible decision. "I'm going back to get our lunch from the hover car," the recorded Jake said. "You just wait here and enjoy the peaceful spot. I'll be right back." Lisa watched her recorded self nod trustingly as Jake walked away. The display followed him through the forest to where their hover car was parked. There was no lunch basket in the vehicle. Jake got in and drove away without looking back. "He planned it," Lisa said quietly. "He never intended to come back for me." "The recording continues," Alex said gently. "Do you want to see the rest?" Lisa nodded even though her hands were shaking. The display showed her sitting alone in the clearing as darkness fell. It showed the shadow hounds approaching and her desperate attempts to free her wheelchair from the mud. Then it showed Alex appearing and everything that followed. "This proves what Jake did," Lisa said when the recording ended. "But how do we use it without revealing that you exist?" Before Alex could answer, an alarm began sounding throughout the ship. Symbols appeared on the floating displays and Alex's expression became grim. "What's wrong?" Lisa asked. "Someone is jamming our communications, and there's an unidentified energy signature moving through your colony." Alex moved to the control panels and began calling up more displays. Lisa watched as a map of the colony appeared showing dozens of human life signs clustered in the main buildings. But there was something else moving among them. Something that didn't register as human or any other known species. "What is that thing?" Lisa asked, pointing to the strange signature. "I don't know, but it's not native to this world. Someone or something has introduced a foreign element into your colony." Alex worked frantically at the controls trying to clear the communication jamming. "Lisa, I'm picking up distress signals from your settlement. Something is attacking your people." "We have to help them," Lisa said immediately. "I can't reveal myself to your entire colony. That would violate every first contact protocol in the Federation. Then don't reveal yourself. Give me a weapon and take me back. I'll handle it." Alex looked at her with surprise. "Lisa, you can't walk. How could you possibly fight whatever that thing is? You said your ship could heal my injuries. Do it now." "The process takes several hours and requires you to be unconscious. There isn't time." Lisa grabbed Alex's arm. "Then find another way. Those are my people down there and they're in danger because of something connected to what happened to me. I won't abandon them the way Jake abandoned me." Alex studied her face for a moment, then made a decision. "There is something else I can do. It's experimental and potentially dangerous, but it might work." "What kind of something else?" "My people have developed a temporary enhancement system that can boost human physical capabilities for short periods. It would allow you to walk and fight, but the side effects afterward could be severe." "Do it." "Lisa, you don't understand. This technology has never been tested on humans with spinal injuries. It could kill you. And sitting here doing nothing while my friends die will definitely kill my soul. Do it, Alex." Alex nodded with respect and began preparing the enhancement equipment. "This device will interface directly with your nervous system and bypass the damaged areas of your spine. You'll have full mobility and enhanced strength, but only for about 2 hours." Lisa watched as Alex attached what looked like a small metal disc to the back of her neck. Immediately, she felt a tingling sensation spreading down her spine. "The enhancement also includes combat training downloads." Alex continued. "You'll have access to fighting techniques from across the galaxy, but using them will be instinctive rather than conscious. Will I still be me? Yes, but you'll be a version of yourself that can do things you never imagined possible. The tingling sensation reached Lisa's legs, and suddenly she could feel her feet for the first time in months. She stood up slowly, testing her balance, and found that she felt stronger than she ever had in her life. "This is amazing," she said, taking a few experimental steps. "I feel like I could run up a mountain." "You probably could," Alex said, handing her a weapon that looked like a metallic rod. "This is a neural disruptor. It will work on most carbon-based life forms without permanent damage. Point it at your target and press the activation stud." Lisa took the weapon and found that her hands knew exactly how to hold it, even though she had never seen anything like it before. "The combat training is already working. I know how to use this. Lisa, before you go, I need to tell you something important. My superiors are monitoring the situation remotely. What happens tonight will determine whether the Federation makes contact with humanity or decides you're too dangerous to approach. No pressure then," Lisa said with a grim smile. "If you save your people and handle this crisis with wisdom and courage, it could change the future for your entire species. But if things go badly, then humanity gets written off as another failed experiment." "I'm afraid so." Lisa walked to the ship's entrance and looked out at the colony lights flickering in the distance. "Alex, I need you to promise me something. If I don't make it back or if this goes wrong, don't judge all humans by what you've seen. Jake doesn't represent who we really are. I promise. But Lisa, I believe you do represent who humans can become. Show the galaxy what your species is capable of when it matters most." Lisa nodded and stepped out into the night. Her enhanced legs carried her down the mountainside faster than any human had ever moved. Behind her, Alex watched through his ship's sensors as she raced toward the colony and whatever was waiting there. In the distance, Sheriff Beth Martinez was fighting for her life against a creature that shouldn't exist, while Jake Morrison cowered in a storage closet trying to decide whether to run or hide. Neither of them knew that help was coming in the form of a woman who had been left to die, but refused to stay down. The real test of humanity was about to begin. Sheriff Beth Martinez pressed her back against the supply room door as something with claws scraped along the metal on the other side. The creature had been hunting her through the colony's administrative building for 20 minutes, and she was running out of places to hide. Her radio crackled with panicked voices from around the settlement. "Sheriff, this is Rodriguez. We've got people trapped in the dining hall. Something is moving through the ventilation system." "Copy that, Rodriguez. Stay together and keep the civilians calm. I'm dealing with the same problem here." What Beth didn't tell Rodriguez was that her ammunition was almost gone, and the creature hunting her seemed to be getting smarter with each attack. It had already killed 2 security guards and wounded several colonists before she managed to separate it from the main group of people. The scratching on the door stopped and Beth held her breath. Sometimes the creature would go quiet just before it found another way into whatever room she was hiding in. Her hands shook as she checked her pistol one more time. 3 bullets left. A new voice came over the radio, but it wasn't anyone Beth recognized. "Colony Security, this is Lisa Morrison. I'm approaching the administrative building from the north. What's your situation?" Beth nearly dropped her radio in shock. Lisa Morrison? Where the hell have you been? Jake reported you missing yesterday." "That's a long story, Sheriff. Right now I need to know about the creature that's attacking people. Where is it? How do you know about the creature? And how are you moving around?" "Jake said you were in your wheelchair when you disappeared." There was a pause before Lisa answered. "Sheriff, I need you to trust me right now. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm here to help and I have equipment that can stop this thing." "Where is it?" Beth heard new scratching sounds coming from above her head. The creature was moving through the ceiling toward her location. "It's in the administrative building with me. Lisa, you need to stay away from here. This thing has already killed people and normal weapons barely slow it down." "I'm not normal anymore, Sheriff. I'm coming in through the front entrance. Be ready to move when I give you the signal." Beth wanted to ask a dozen questions, but the ceiling above her head began to buckle as something heavy moved across it. Whatever was happening with Lisa would have to wait until they survived the next few minutes. Lisa reached the administrative building just as the power failed again. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows through the windows as she approached the main entrance. Her enhanced senses could detect the creature's location somewhere on the second floor, along with Sheriff Martinez's elevated heart rate. The combat training downloaded from Alex's ship told her exactly how to approach the situation. The creature was a modified shadowhound, which meant it hunted primarily by scent and heat signature. Her enhanced body was running cooler than normal human temperature, which would give her an advantage in close combat. Lisa entered the building silently and began moving toward the staircase. Her neural disruptor was set to maximum power, but she hoped to get close enough to use the hand-to-hand combat techniques flowing through her enhanced nervous system. On the second floor, Beth heard the ceiling collapse as the creature finally broke through. She rolled away from the falling debris and came up firing her pistol at the nightmare that dropped into the room with her. The shadowhound was 8 feet tall, with scales that shifted from black to dark green as it moved. Multiple eyes tracked Beth's movement while its claws gouged deep marks in the metal floor. The bullets from her pistol seemed to hurt it but didn't slow it down much. "Sheriff, get down," came Lisa's voice from the doorway. Beth dove behind a desk as Lisa fired her neural disruptor at the creature. The energy beam struck the shadowhound center mass and it convulsed for a moment before collapsing to the floor unconscious. "Lisa?" Beth stared in amazement at the woman standing in the doorway. Lisa Morrison was walking on her own legs and carrying some kind of advanced weapon that had just dropped a monster with one shot. "How is this possible?" "It's complicated, Sheriff. But first we need to make sure there aren't any more of these things in the colony." Beth stood up slowly, still trying to process what she was seeing. "Lisa, you were paralyzed. You couldn't walk. And where did you get that weapon?" "Like I said, it's complicated. Right now we need to focus on protecting people." Lisa knelt beside the unconscious shadowhound and attached some kind of scanning device to its head. "This creature was sent here to kill witnesses. Someone doesn't want the truth about what happened to me to come out." "What truth? What really happened in the forest, Lisa?" Before Lisa could answer, Jake Morrison appeared in the doorway holding a mining laser. His face was pale with shock as he stared at his wife standing on legs that shouldn't work. "You're supposed to be dead," Jake said in a whisper. "Disappointed?" Lisa asked, turning to face him. "This is impossible. You can't walk. The doctor said you would never walk again." Jake's hands were shaking as he pointed the mining laser at Lisa. "What kind of trick is this?" Sheriff Martinez stepped between them with her pistol aimed at Jake. "Put the laser down, Jake. We need to talk about what really happened yesterday." "She's not real," Jake said, backing toward the hallway. "This is some kind of hallucination. Lisa is dead in the forest where I left her." "Where you left her?" Beth's eyes narrowed. "Jake, you said she disappeared while you were investigating a noise." Jake realized what he had just admitted and his face went white. "I didn't mean—" "That's not what I meant to say." "Yes, it is," Lisa said calmly. "You meant to say exactly what you said, Jake. You left me in the forest to die because you couldn't handle having a disabled wife anymore." "You don't understand the pressure I was under," Jake said desperately. "The medical bills, the constant care, watching you suffer every day. I thought it would be better for both of us if I was dead," Lisa finished. "You thought murder would solve your problems." Beth kept her pistol trained on Jake while trying to make sense of everything. "Lisa, how did you survive? And how can you walk?" "Someone helped me, Sheriff. Someone who saw what Jake did and couldn't let an innocent person die." "Who?" "There's no one else in the forest except search teams." Lisa looked directly at Jake as she answered. "Someone who understands that abandoning the helpless is one of the worst crimes anyone can commit. Someone who believes that how we treat our most vulnerable people defines what kind of species we really are." Jake's grip on the mining laser tightened. "I don't know how you survived or who helped you, but it doesn't matter. Nobody will believe your story over mine. You're just a bitter woman trying to blame me for your own accident." "Actually, Jake, I have proof." Lisa activated a small device on her belt, and a holographic recording appeared in the air above them. "I have video evidence of everything you did." The recording showed Jake abandoning Lisa in the forest with perfect clarity. Beth and Jake watched in silence as the truth played out in front of them. "That's impossible," Jake stammered. "There was nobody else there. How could anyone have recorded that?" "Does it matter how I got the evidence, Jake? What matters is that everyone will see exactly what kind of man you really are." Jake raised the mining laser toward Lisa, but Sheriff Martinez was faster. Her pistol cracked once and Jake crumpled to the floor, clutching his shoulder. "Jake Morrison, you're under arrest for attempted murder," Beth said as she kicked the laser away from him. "Lisa, I don't understand how any of this is possible, but that recording is going to put him away for life." Lisa helped Beth secure Jake with zip ties while he moaned about his wounded shoulder. Sheriff, there's something else you need to know. This creature that attacked the colony, it was sent here to kill witnesses and stop the truth from coming out. Someone doesn't want humanity to know what happened in that forest. Someone who would care about a domestic dispute in a remote colony. Lisa looked toward the window where she could see Alex's ship hidden in the mountains. People who are watching us, Sheriff. People who are trying to decide if humanity deserves a future among the stars. The main hall of the colony was packed with every resident who could walk. Word had spread quickly about Lisa's miraculous recovery and Jake's arrest, but nobody understood the full story yet. Sheriff Martinez stood at the front of the room with Lisa beside her, while Jake sat in restraints under guard. "People, I know you have questions about what happened tonight," Beth began. "Before we go any further, Lisa Morrison has something important to tell all of you." Lisa stepped forward, feeling the weight of every eye in the room. The enhanced strength Alex had given her was beginning to fade, but she forced herself to stand tall. What she said in the next few minutes would determine not just her own future, but possibly the future of all humanity. 3 days ago, my husband Jake Morrison drove me deep into Thornwood Forest and abandoned me there to die, Lisa said in a clear voice that carried to the back of the room. He told me he was going to get lunch from our hover car, but instead he drove away and left me trapped in my wheelchair with night falling and predators closing in. Gasps and angry murmurs filled the hall. Several people turned to stare at Jake with disgust and disbelief. "That's a lie," Jake shouted from his chair. "She's making this up to get revenge for the accident." "I would never hurt Lisa." "You're right, Jake," Lisa said calmly. "You didn't hurt me. You tried to murder me. There's a difference." Lisa activated her recording device, and the holographic image of Jake's abandonment appeared above the crowd. The hall fell silent as everyone watched Jake kiss Lisa's head and walk away forever. They saw him drive off without looking back while Lisa realized what was happening. When the recording ended, the silence stretched for several long seconds. Then someone in the back of the room began to curse Jake's name, and others joined in. Sheriff Martinez had to call for order before the crowd turned into a lynch mob. "That recording is fake," Jake said desperately. "Someone created it to frame me. Lisa probably hired some off-world technician to make it look real." "With what money, Jake?" Lisa asked. "You controlled our finances, remember? And where would a paralyzed woman find an off-world technician on a remote colony like this?" Dr. Patricia Wells stood up from the crowd. She was the colony's chief medical officer, and one of the most respected people in the settlement. "Lisa, I examined you 6 months ago after the mining accident. Your spinal damage was extensive and permanent. How are you walking?" This was the moment Lisa had been dreading. Everything she said next would either prepare humanity for first contact or doom them to continued isolation. "Dr. Wells, I was healed by someone with medical technology far more advanced than anything we have access to," Lisa said carefully. "Someone who saw what Jake did and couldn't stand by while an innocent person died." "Who?" Dr. Wells pressed. "There's no one on this moon with that kind of technology." Lisa looked toward the main entrance where she had arranged for Alex to be waiting. "Someone who has been watching our colony and trying to decide if humanity deserves help from the greater galactic community." The main doors opened, and Alex Carter walked into the hall. He had removed his armor and appeared to be wearing a simple uniform. But even without his advanced equipment, it was obvious he wasn't human. His metallic skin and large silver-flecked eyes caused immediate panic among the colonists. "Stay calm," Sheriff Martinez shouted over the noise. "Nobody move and nobody shoot." "Lisa, what is this?" "His name is Alex Carter," Lisa said as Alex walked calmly to the front of the room. "He's a member of the Galactic Peacekeeping Force, and he's been monitoring our settlement as part of a larger study of human expansion." Alex stepped beside Lisa and addressed the crowd in perfect English. "People of Kepler 442c, I am Commander Alex Carter of the Galactic Federation. For years, my people have been observing humanities spread across the galaxy and trying to determine if your species is ready for contact with the greater community of sentient beings." The hall erupted in dozens of shouted questions, but Alex raised his hand for silence. "3 days ago, I witnessed one of the worst acts I have ever seen," Alex continued. "A male of your species abandoned his disabled mate in a dangerous environment with the intention of causing her death. By the laws of most civilized worlds, this would be considered an unforgivable crime." Jake struggled against his restraints. "You have no authority here. This is human territory and human law." Actually, Jake, this moon is within Federation space, Alex replied. Your entire species has been expanding through our territory without proper permits. We could have stopped you years ago, but we chose to observe instead. Dr. Wells found her voice. You said you were trying to determine if we're ready for contact. What does that mean exactly? It means the Federation has to decide whether humanity will be welcomed as a member species or classified as a dangerous expansion threat that needs to be contained, Alex said bluntly. Your actions over the past few days have influenced that decision significantly. Lisa stepped forward. Alex told me that how we treat our most vulnerable people is one of the tests the Federation uses to judge species. Jake's cruelty could have condemned all of humanity, but the way this colony responded when you learned the truth shows our better nature. Colony Administrator Robert Chen stood up from the crowd. Commander Carter, what exactly does Federation membership involve? And what happens if we're rejected? Alex's expression became grave. Membership means access to advanced technology, medicine, and knowledge that could solve most of your current problems. Your lifespans would increase dramatically and you could expand safely throughout the galaxy with our guidance. And if we're rejected, Chen pressed, humanity would be restricted to your current territory and monitored to ensure you don't become a threat to other species. No new colonies. No advanced technology. No contact with other worlds. The weight of his words settled over the crowd like a blanket. Everyone understood that they were witnessing a moment that would define humanity's future. Commander, what do you personally recommend to your superiors? Sheriff Martinez asked. Alex looked at Lisa, then back at the crowd. I recommend immediate contact and rapid integration into the Federation. Yes, you have individuals like Jake Morrison who are capable of terrible cruelty, but you also have people like Lisa Morrison who show forgiveness and courage even after being betrayed by those they trusted. You're basing the future of humanity on one woman's reaction to being abandoned? Someone called out. No, Alex replied. I'm basing it on how an entire colony reacted when they learned the truth. You didn't make excuses for Jake's behavior. You didn't try to cover it up or minimize it. You were horrified by what he did and you demanded justice. That tells me your species has the moral foundation necessary for galactic citizenship. Jake made one last desperate attempt to save himself. They're all lying. This alien is working with Lisa to frame me. None of this is real. Alex walked over to where Jake sat in restraints. Jake Morrison, by the authority of the Galactic Federation, I am placing you under arrest for attempted murder of a sentient being. You will be tried under both human and galactic law. You can't do that. I'm human. I demand to be tried by human courts. You will be, Alex said. But the Federation will also prosecute you for crimes against a member species. Lisa Morrison is now under our protection as the first human ambassador to the galactic community. The hall fell silent as the implications sank in. Lisa Morrison, the woman who had been left to die in the forest, was now humanity's representative to an entire galaxy of alien civilizations. Dr. Wells spoke into the silence. Lisa, are you ready for that kind of responsibility? Lisa looked around the room at the faces of people she had lived and worked with for 3 years. These were good people who deserved a chance to be part of something larger than their struggling colony. I'm ready, she said simply. Someone has to speak for humanity, and it might as well be someone who has seen both our worst and best qualities up close. 6 months later, Lisa Morrison walked through the same forest where Jake had abandoned her to die. But everything was different now. The twisted trees and dangerous undergrowth had been cleared and replaced with a beautiful pathway, lined with flowers from a dozen different worlds. Where she had once been trapped and helpless, she now moved with confidence, wearing the elegant robes of a Federation ambassador. The clearing by the stream had been transformed into a memorial garden. A crystal monument rose from the spot where her wheelchair had been stuck in the mud. Engraved on its surface, in both human and galactic script, were the words, from humanity's darkest moment came its brightest future. Alex Carter walked beside her, dressed in the formal uniform of a Federation liaison officer. His promotion had come with the successful integration of humanity into the galactic community. What had started as a routine surveillance mission had become the most important first contact in Federation history. The transformation is remarkable, Alex said as they approached the memorial. It's hard to believe this was once considered one of the most dangerous areas on the moon. Danger is often just a matter of perspective, Lisa replied. What seemed like a death trap to me became the birthplace of humanity's galactic citizenship. They stopped beside the crystal monument where fresh flowers had been left by recent visitors. The memorial had become a pilgrimage site for humans throughout the Federation who wanted to see where their species had proven itself worthy of the stars. Any word from the Federation Council about Jake's final sentencing? Lisa asked. The verdict came through this morning, Alex said grimly. Life imprisonment on Rehabilitation Station 7. He'll have the chance to earn redemption through service, but he'll never be free again. Lisa nodded. She had testified at Jake's trial both on Earth and before the Federation Council. Watching him try to justify his actions had been painful but necessary. The galaxy needed to see that humanity was willing to hold its worst members accountable. Do you think he'll ever understand what he threw away? Lisa asked. Maybe. The rehabilitation programs are designed to help criminals understand the full impact of their actions, but some people are too broken to fix. They walked on through the garden toward the site where Alex's ship had been hidden. That location was now home to the Federation Embassy, a beautiful building that seemed to grow organically from the mountainside. Human and alien architects had worked together to create something that honored both species. Lisa, I have news from the Outer Rim colonies, Alex said as they climbed the pathway. The terraforming of New Geneva is ahead of schedule thanks to Federation assistance. They estimate the planet will be fully habitable within 2 years instead of 20. That's wonderful, Lisa said with genuine joy. How many families will be able to relocate there? Nearly 50,000. And that's just the first wave. The Federation has approved expansion to 12 more worlds in that sector. Lisa smiled, thinking about the opportunities opening up for her species. When humanity had been isolated on a few struggling colonies, their future had looked uncertain. Now they were partners in a galactic civilization that offered unlimited possibilities. The medical exchange program is having incredible results too, Alex continued. Dr. Wells tells me that the new spinal regeneration techniques have helped hundreds of people with injuries like yours. No one will ever have to live with permanent paralysis again. That might be the best part of everything that's happened, Lisa said, knowing that no one else will ever go through what I experienced. They reached the embassy where Federation and human flags flew side by side in the alien breeze. Through the transparent walls, Lisa could see human and alien diplomats working together on trade agreements and cultural exchanges. Ambassador Morrison called a familiar voice. Sheriff Beth Martinez approached, them wearing the uniform of the new Colonial Security Force. Her promotion to regional commander had come with humanity's integration into Federation law enforcement. Beth, it's good to see you, Lisa said, embracing her old friend. How are things in the other settlements? Better every day. Crime is down 90% since we started using Federation rehabilitation techniques instead of just punishment. And the new communication networks mean we can coordinate responses across the entire moon instantly. Beth paused and looked around the transformed landscape. Lisa, do you ever think about how different things might have been if Alex hadn't been watching that day? All the time, Lisa admitted. If Jake had succeeded in killing me, humanity might never have made contact with the Federation. We might still be struggling alone on a handful of hostile worlds. The Federation analysts estimate that without our intervention, humanity would have faced extinction within 50 years, Alex said soberly. Your expansion was too aggressive for your technology level. You were bound to encounter something that would destroy you. Instead, we encountered something that saved us, Lisa said. Though I suppose it wasn't really an accident, was it? You were already observing us, which means the Federation was already considering contact. Alex smiled. True, but it might have taken decades for the bureaucrats to reach a decision. What happened to you forced their hand and probably saved countless lives on both sides. A chime sounded from Lisa's communication device. Ambassador Morrison, this is Federation Central. You have an incoming priority message from the Andromeda sector. Lisa activated her communicator, and a holographic figure appeared in front of them. The being was tall and graceful with features that seemed to shift between human and something more exotic. This was Chancellor Zythara, the elected leader of the Federation Council. Ambassador Morrison, I bring greetings from the Council and news of great importance, the Chancellor said in her musical voice. The integration of humanity has been so successful that we are accelerating the full membership timeline. What does that mean exactly? Lisa asked, though her heart was already racing with excitement. It means that in 1 year humanity will have a full vote in Federation decisions and access to our most advanced technologies. You will also be invited to participate in the exploration of the void regions beyond known space. Lisa felt tears forming in her eyes. The void regions were the ultimate frontier. Unexplored space that might contain wonders beyond imagination, or threats that could challenge the entire galaxy. Chancellor, this is an incredible honor. What changed the Council's mind about the timeline? Your species' response to the Jake Morrison incident convinced even our most cautious members that humans possess the moral courage necessary for true partnership. The way your people handled that crisis showed wisdom far beyond your technological development. When the communication ended, Lisa sat down on a bench overlooking the memorial garden. In the distance, she could see human children playing with young aliens while their parents worked together on projects that would benefit both species. Feeling overwhelmed? Alex asked, sitting beside her. Grateful, Lisa said simply. 6 months ago, I was a disabled woman trapped in a failing marriage on a struggling colony. Now I'm representing humanity to an entire galaxy. It doesn't seem real sometimes. It's real, Beth said, joining them on the bench. And you've earned every bit of it. You took the worst thing that ever happened to you and turned it into the best thing that ever happened to humanity. Lisa looked back at the crystal monument gleaming in the afternoon sun. You know what the strangest part is? I'm actually grateful to Jake for what he did. Alex and Beth stared at her in surprise. I don't mean I'm glad he tried to kill me, Lisa clarified quickly. But if he hadn't abandoned me in that forest, we never would have met, Alex. Humanity might have remained isolated for decades or centuries. In trying to destroy my life, Jake accidentally gave our entire species a future among the stars. That's a remarkably mature perspective, Alex said with admiration. I've had good teachers, Lisa replied, looking at him fondly. Besides, holding on to anger would just poison everything good that came from that terrible night. Jake already destroyed himself with his hatred and selfishness. I won't let him destroy me too. As the three friends sat watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors, Lisa reflected on the incredible journey that had brought her to this moment. She had lost the use of her legs but gained the ability to speak for her entire species. She had lost a husband but gained friends from across the galaxy. She had faced death in a dark forest but found new life among the stars. The path ahead would not be easy. Representing humanity in the vast complexity of galactic politics would challenge her in ways she couldn't yet imagine. But she was ready for whatever came next. After all, she was Lisa Morrison, the woman who had survived abandonment and betrayal to become humanity's voice in the cosmos. She was living proof that sometimes the darkest moments can lead to the brightest futures. In the growing twilight, the crystal monument caught the last rays of sunlight and threw rainbow patterns across the memorial garden. Children who would grow up as citizens of the galaxy played where a woman had once faced death alone. It was a perfect symbol of how far humanity had come and how far they still had to go. The stars were calling and humanity was finally ready to answer.